Zach, right as the average new vehicle transaction price climbs to $48,300, Chevrolet comes along and says they've got an EV for us that will cost just $30,000. Do you buy it?
You're doing a disservice to what Chevy is proclaiming because the average transaction price month, if I'm not mistaken, for an EV was again north of $66,000 more.
Yeah, it's about 66,500. So, yeah, that's pretty up there if you ask me.
It absolutely is. What do you think the odds are that GM actually holds true to their promise and delivers a $30,000 electric vehicle? I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine, but hey, the Ultium platform, maybe that's why they did it, right?
First of all, GM says around $30,000. So that's the key word right there, around. But I do think, and I hope, honestly, General Motors can get the Equinox EV to market for under $35,000 for the base trim. But I have a bit of skepticism, and I'm going to share that with you today, Zach, about why exactly I don't think most Equinox EV buyers would be buying the vehicle for close to $30,000. You ready?
I'm all ears. Let's hear it.
All right. First one, it's a bit interesting. It's not really a surprise. GM's going to have a fleet variant for the Equinox EV, and I think that's great because that's one way to really accelerate fuel savings and also have a good impact on environmental pollution type things, right? Whenever you're converting an entire fleet to electrification. However, if you think about it, they said the Equinox EV is going to start around $30,000. That's the quote. I imagine that the bare bones fleet variant would be about $30,000. And maybe the 1LT, which has recently been revealed, would start closer to $33,000, $35,000. Now, why exactly am I so skeptical about a $30,000 price tag for an EV in 2023? Consider the following. Recently, we had Ford executives admitting publicly that they do not make a profit at all with the Mustang Mach-E. And Zach, you know what the Mustang Mach-E starts at?
I do not remember off the top of my head, but I know it recently went up by a significant amount of money. So did the Lightning.
Yeah, so now the Mustang Mach-E starts at $46,000, but back when he made those comments a few months ago, it started at like $43,000. So Ford was not able to turn a profit on a $43,000 electric vehicle. I'm hoping GM has some Ultium-powered tricks up their sleeves to bring affordability and profits back into the picture for EVs. But I'm a bit skeptical. And now there's something else to consider. But first, Zach, I want to get your take. Like, what were your thoughts whenever you heard Mary Barra proclaim that the Equinox EV would be starting around $30,000? Did you buy it?
I've watched this movie before. Like that's what I thought right when I saw the headline, which is I've seen Elon Musk say it, I've seen Farley say it. I know how this movie ends. Like maybe for a short period of time we have a more price attainable electric vehicle, and then ultimately it's too expensive to actually sell at that price point. Plus, not to mention dealer markups. So fortunately, the data that we referenced at the beginning of this video is talking about transaction prices, which include whatever the dealer markups would be on top of MSRP. We know EVs are a hot commodity. I think, Justin, you know as well as I, the expectation that there's a surplus of EVs is not in the near future for us. So sure, maybe GM, maybe Chevy gets a $33,000 or $34,000 MSRP Equinox into the market next year. Your out the door price on that's probably going to be closer to 40 grand no matter what once you factor in everything else. So it's still going to be an expensive vehicle. So I feel like I've seen this movie. I know the ending. I'm skeptical. That's for sure.
Yeah, and to be fair, I'm actually in support of having even an under $40,000 EV as long as it's well equipped with decent fast charging and range, which it looks like the Equinox EV will have. Well, honestly, Zach, I am kind of impressed with what GM is offering in the base 1LT trim of the Equinox EV. You get 250 miles of range estimated by GM and a pretty solid charging time of 70 miles of range added in 10 minutes. Honestly, it's looking like a pretty good package, even if the price ends up being closer to $40,000, which I think most Equinox EV buyers are going to end up interested in the 1LT or the 2LT trims. If they don't want to have just the bare bones, who knows? Maybe even GM would put hand crank windows into it. Just kidding. But you never know these days, right? Yeah, I think most Equinox EV buyers will be more interested in the 2LT and 3LT, and that's definitely not going to cost $30,000, but it would still, to be fair, it would be a great deal for around $40,000. That's what I'm hoping for the Equinox.
To be clear, at that price point, you are somehow, someway, you are undercutting the competition. I think we need more automakers to produce vehicles at that price point if we want and expect to see mass EV adoption, that's for sure. Buying a car? Let the team at YAA help. Use the code FALL20 and save 20% on a YAA membership, or use FALL100 and save $100 on an extended warranty.
Now, where is the sweet spot with the Equinox EV, and how much should you expect to pay if you want to get a decently equipped 2024 Equinox EV? In my opinion, it's the 3LT. You got more options, but you're going to pay more money for it. What comes with the 3LT? Well, in addition to the extended range battery pack, you would get 300 miles of range. That's impressive. Of course, this is GM estimated. Of course, you would still have that same fast charging capability, but you would have a lot more creature comforts, as the auto sales people say. And by that, I mean a sunroof. You would have reverse automatic braking, so enhanced safety features. A 17-inch diagonal touchscreen. It better not be laggy. GM, please do a good job sourcing the touchscreen. Please don't let us down. 21-inch aluminum wheels, going to be riding on 21s. Wow. And heated front end. Yeah, that's bigger than my Ioniq 5 Limited. So ventilated front seats. There's a whole bunch of really, really nice things going into the 3LT trim of the Equinox EV. Now, I got to be honest, so far, all that they've said about pricing is that it's starting around $30,000. But here's why I think that the 3LT, which is basically the sweet spot, will be starting closer to $50,000. Why do I think there's going to be like a $20,000 jump?
I'm all ears. Can't just be for those ventilated seats.
GM is going to have to subsidize those more affordable Equinox trims that they claim to be getting ready to sell for near $30,000. They're going to have to subsidize that, make their profits by offering some much higher priced and hopefully properly equipped trim options. So not only do you have the 3LT, which I personally expect will start around $50,000, you're going to have the RS options. So the 2RS and the 3RS. I've had some YAA community members with years of experience in automotive sales and the industry overall. They said they expect that the top of the line Equinox EV 3RS will start around $60,000. That's what they expect. So, I mean, we could all speculate, but GM's going to have to make up the money that they're spending, or money that they're likely losing on a more affordable Equinox EV, considering that in 2022, the average cost for raw materials in the average EV, so, you know, it might have a smaller battery pack than the Equinox, is around $8,000. They're going to have to make up for that somewhere.
Remind me, Justin, sorry to put you on the spot. Nissan Ariya, do we know what's the starting price there?
It is more than $30,000. It's around $47,000, I believe, but it's at least $12,000 more than what the Equinox EV is shooting for.
Let that sink in for a second. I think you're spot on. You're going to see most of the Equinox variants out there closer to that 40. That's a Nissan, folks, a $47,000 Nissan. Like, I mean, the reality is that the close to 50,000 is probably where most electric vehicles that are quote affordable end up being, and that's still $15,000 or $16,000 less than the average transaction price. Yeah,
and I dug it up at lightning speed just for you, Zach, and it looks like the Ariya is starting here in the U.S. at $47,000. So look at me go. But and then I was speaking to Justice the other day, my co-host over on Plugged In, and he had a good point. At what point would you be just feeling silly paying for a higher trim Equinox EV when you could just go buy a Model Y or, you know, any other number of EVs, an Audi e-tron? E-tron. Why would you want to spend $60,000 on an Equinox EV if you could even just go get a Blazer SS for nearly the same price, which is far more capable on performance specs? I don't see the benefit of even offering an Equinox EV over $55,000, but you know what they say, Zach? Inflation.
Indeed they do, Justin. They also say, show me the money. Show me the money! Show me the money. Yeah, I think the Equinox, I think you're spot on with your thesis. I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful. I've seen this movie before. I've seen the ending twice.
Oh, we
Let's see
can't
what
forget.
happens.
We can't forget that the Equinox EV will qualify for at least half of the new EV tax credit on the federal level. State incentives may apply as well, but that also is good news. So, is it possible that an Equinox EV might be out the door in 2024 when it becomes a rebate option, out the door for under $30,000? Wow, what are we even talking about, Zach? That is wild. I am not willing to go there.